Yeah, I was terrible at it, didn't really understand it. Footworked a lot, just wanted to run around the court. The biggest influence for my whole career really is Linda Andrews, um, she's such a special person. It wasn't really until my early 20s that I really felt like I could go somewhere in the sport. That tournament was just such good fun because we knew we were capable.
Yeah.
That was just a really nice, quite an exciting feeling. It was, all the girls were just pumped up and just wanted to kind of do it for each other. The whole week was quite amazing, really. The profile of the game had just gone like through the roof for us because of the previous campaign at Commonwealth Games, and to be kind of the face of that, it was a bit mental. It's about making sure that young people do feel like they can be who they want to be and also have that sense of belonging and come and enjoy their netball. It's about providing good experiences, and I'm really passionate about that. What I would love in terms of the ultimate vision is to get an arena set up and then put a tender in for a Super League team and make netball professional over here and have a professional franchise over here.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Sportscast Jersey. Today we are joined by netball legend and Jersey Jets head coach Serena Kersten MBE. How are you doing, Serena?
Yeah, all good, Dan. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, not bad, thanks. Not bad. I always start with the same kind of question, whoever the guest is, and that is, have you always been sporty since a young age?
Yes, I suppose is the short answer. Like most kids, I just grew up. Jersey's such a great place to be young and enjoy sport. Everything's so close. I could essentially go and play football in the morning, netball in the afternoon, and athletics on a Tuesday and a Thursday. I was one of those kids who was at as much as they could possibly be in terms of sport in the island. So pretty competitive. Not great at every sport. I tried, but just loved to obviously being out and about and active. I just love being active.
Yeah, absolutely. Your brother's obviously a good sports star as well, good footballer. How good was it growing up with him and as a family there, two good sports people together?
Well, my brother was a pain in the butt, to be honest with me, when I was growing up. We were pretty competitive. Nah, I'm joking. Obviously it's been football for him since I can remember, to be honest with you. I grew up in Gorey, so we used to play out on the common a lot with just grab a football, go out there and play. And you don't see kids doing that as much anymore, but that was kind of how I grew up. It was just lots of informal play, and my brother was my right hand man, and we'd go out and take on people at football tournaments on the beach, in the park, in the playgrounds, car parks, you name it. You know what I mean? So we were a little force to be reckoned with, probably growing up bouncing around Jersey. But whilst I played netball, I played a lot of football. So I probably was playing more football than I was netball for a long time because my brother, that's all he liked to play. And I didn't mind it. Football was still one of my favourite sports that I love to play, actually, because of him and because of the connection, and all my best memories are really playing around with him. Playing Kirby with the football, headers and volleys, all those old school games that we used to play.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about netball. Obviously, netball is huge for yourself. Do you remember the very first time you got introduced to the game, the sport, and got your hands on a netball?
Yeah, so I remember the age that I started. It was about 8 years old. I went to primary school at Platdewey, so I went to the after school club there. And that was my introduction to netball. Really, I was terrible at it. Didn't really understand it. Footworked a lot. Just wanted to run around the court. Hated the footwork rule. But yeah, it was fun. I made some great mates through it. And it was challenging. That's what I really loved about the game. And even when I started, and what I still love about it now, it's just such a challenging sport. There's no, you're constantly searching for this kind of perfect game, and it just doesn't exist. And I love that about the game as well. So yeah, I think when I started playing it, it was just that challenge, but then also I think the friendships and netball communities really quite special one. So I was kind of hooked on the people that I'd met within that community from an early age.
Yeah, definitely. And do you remember the kind of coaches in those early years, before you did move off Ireland, who kind of influenced you over the years and helped you develop your game here in Jersey?
Yeah, so for me, obviously, the biggest influence for my whole career really is Linda Andrews. You know, like um, she's such a special person. You know, she nurtured me. She did individual sessions with me. She taught me, um, how to think a certain way about the game and how to be and how to act and about my mindset. So, at a young age, that's she was essentially kind of the perfect coach for me growing up. In terms of learning how to be as a netballer, most
Yeah,
people, like Linda, most people will tell you how special she is as a person. She's so kind, and her passion is just like tenfold. I say I love netball, but that woman loves netball.
yeah,
Like she's such a fan of the game, such a student of the game, and I think that really helps me as a youngster, kind of being in Jersey, going through these kind of England trials and being in the system so early. I was obviously on my own, the only Jersey person within that system. So she went above and beyond for me to be able to keep up with, the standards and everything and all the training to make sure that when I came back into training sessions over in the UK that, I didn't look out of place at all. So I owe a lot of my career to her,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And what kind of stage did you think, this is what I want to do. This is long term. I want to go professional. And when did you know that you could do it as well?
Um, it's a good question because I never really well, it probably wasn't really until my early 20s that I really felt like I could go somewhere in the sport. I'm very much an all or nothing person. So if I do something, I like to commit 110%. And I mean, I was already committed to the sport by 20. I really started my journey at kind of 13, 14. So I was committed then, but in terms of really wanted to see how good I can be. It's probably kind of early 20s, and that's where I was like, I want to go and play professionally in the leagues in Australia, New Zealand, and um, that was the place. That was where I was going to find out really what I was made of. Because at the time the English leagues were nowhere near the standards, that you get over there. So that was kind of really important for me to try and get that move over there and give it a real go throughout my 20s, which I was fortunate to have 4 good years. I could have had longer. Obviously, I came back, so I wanted to. But yeah, like really fortunate to have been in control of that decision, and even the decision making in terms of going out there, it was so difficult to kind of get a gig out there. There's only 10 spots in the world at the time to actually go and be an import player, and and compete out there. So I knew when I got that opportunity that I just had to work harder than anyone to try and keep it because there were so few and far between. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, Rewinding a bit to, I want to touch on how everything kind of happened so young as well. Obviously you joined Bath young. Bath senior debut was at 16, and the England debut was at 18. So how good was that for you in terms of development and getting noticed at those early ages, I guess?
yeah, I mean, everyone's journey is so different, right? Like mine, I was a child of the system. I kind of got in and stayed in, and that was just my journey. I never say to people that that's what you need to do in order to go and play netball for England or go and play netball professionally. Like it was important for me, not that I got selected, but more important that I just took my opportunities. And that's kind of what I say to youngsters. It's you might only get one. If you only get one, you've got to take it because that could open up another to two. Don't wait for your fifth or sixth opportunity to then go, okay, this is the one I'm going to take. And I think that's what you never know in sport. You can never know when that opportunity is going to come, but when it does, you've got to recognize it and really go for it if it's something that you want. So that was really that's really my philosophy in life. Really, like I'm quite a yes person. If I see an opportunity and I think, oh, that could be cool, that could grow me, that could make me. I like being uncomfortable. I like new things. I like stretching myself and pushing my boundaries. So it was always easy for me to say yes to another opportunity, but I always grounded myself back and kind of brought myself back to the place where actually, well, it won't be an opportunity if you don't take it. It'll just be another moment. Do you know what I mean? And life's full of moments, but you've got to recognize the ones that are slightly bigger than the others.
Yeah.
As a sports person, to be able to actually keep progressing.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to touch on yourself leaving Jersey or joining Bath at a young age. How big a step was that in terms of obviously Jersey is all you've known, Little Island kind of vibe as well, as we all know. But how big a step was that for you?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, I was just pretty excited about it, to be honest with you. 16 years old, going to live away from home with a moped and £50 in my pocket every week for pocket money. I was pretty happy, you know. So yeah, I was quite excited to go and, you know, like I love adventure. I'm naturally quite, you know, I love change, you know. So for me, it was a big step, but it was one that one I needed to take in order to, you know, continue my career. But also I wanted to go and experience what it would be like to go and live somewhere else and, you know, be in a high performance environment with other sports and yeah, see kind of how other athletes lived in that sense. And be around other people my age who are trying to strive for the same thing. Well, not all my age, but definitely a group of people that, you know, were all striving to try and be the best they could be within netball. So for me, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a great move. Obviously made a lot of mistakes being young. But ultimately it really helped kind of shape who I was essentially. You know, I went to university pretty self-sufficient, knew how to cook, clean, all that stuff for myself because I kind of made the move a few years earlier than some of my friends. But no, it was no regrets. It was just it was a big deal. I mean, my mum was obviously brokenhearted, I think, when I left and I was there, this big smiley face waving at the window going, see you, mum, I'll call you
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
But yes, I think it's a big step for any family who's got, you know, kids who have these dreams and aspirations and want to go off and do things. And, you know, always really grateful for the support and the bravery of my parents letting me go and see what I can do.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Fast forward a few years, obviously domestically very successful, but I want to touch on your England kind of successes. Um, Commonwealth Games gold, incredible achievement, incredible tournament. Um, what are your standout kind of memories and feelings from that tournament itself and the final as well?
Um, I think, well, standout feelings is like it was just um kind of get these moments, only these times in sport where you think this could be the team to do it. I think I mean, we had that feeling, didn't we, with the Lioness with the Euros, and then went and did it, and then equally the Euro with the men's football. You know, they were really unfortunate, obviously, not to go the whole hog there, but and occasionally you just get a team of people where you think, oh God, this could be really special. And I think that's what that team's in particular, we kind of recognised that we're all pretty experienced, we're all in good form. Obviously, as an athlete, form is important. So we're all playing pretty well as individuals at the time. And yeah, we just kind of didn't really look back. We're a really tight, close knit kind of family group. The Roses are in general anyway. But yeah, it was just the right time, and we just went and grasped it. Really, that was like, you know, keeping it simple. It was we'd done all the work, and that tournament was just such good fun because we knew we were capable.
Yeah.
That was just a really nice, quite an exciting feeling. It was, yeah, all the girls were just pumped up and just wanted to kind of do it for each other. So that was. I don't really remember the final. I don't really remember much the last couple of days. I still haven't watched any of the games back, apart from the last literally 10 to 30 seconds
Yeah.
or so. I will watch them one day, but not yet.
What kind of mindset does it take within that tournament? Obviously, tournament any tournament in sport is intense. Games come thick and fast. How kind of give us an insight into the mentality that's kind of needed to win that sort of tournament?
Um, well, you've got to be prepared to kind of go above and beyond. I suppose you never really quite know how the tournament's going to go. So you've got to be very kind of focused, right, and very process focused as well, and sticking to task, and your routine's important, and yeah, how you process each game. So really making sure that your itinerary and your routines are really you know, they run smoothly, they're locked down, you know exactly what you're doing, when your downtime is, when your massage is, and kind of just from an individual point of view, doing those little bits throughout the day to make sure that you're ready to go again, whether it's sleep or catching up with your family or going with a coffee, go get, you know, grabbing some food or whatever. I think from a mindset perspective, it's a lot of it's kind of done before the tournament, really. Like, you know, you don't really get a chance to think during those tournaments because it's so intense. It's just like next game, next game, next game. And no other sport does it like we do it, you know, kind of 8 games in 10 days or whatever it is. So it's thick and fast, and you're absolutely dead by the end of it, but you don't really think about it too much. If you allowed yourself to think about it too much, then you probably draw yourself to a physical hole, because it is incredibly exhausting. But yeah, it's just part of the tournament, really. And really, the last couple of days, it's whoever's got that mentality, really, to stick to the game plan, stick to process, not let the tiredness, you know, set in too much into the psyche, and keep pushing through. But you don't you're capable of that until the end. So, you know, at the beginning, you're feeling all good and all quite bouncy, but at the end, that's when it becomes really tough, and, you know, your legs, you feel like you're running in sand almost, trying to change direction. But it is more of a mental game towards those last couple of days, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Nah, good insight, and yeah, incredible moment that was. On a personal note, you went on to captain. You obviously played in a few World Cups before, but you went on to captain England at a World Cup. How amazing was that for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, the whole week was quite amazing, really. You know, the profile of the game had just gone like through the roof for us because of the previous campaign at Commonwealth Games, and to be kind of the face of that, it was it was a bit mental. There are lots of things that I enjoyed about, obviously, captaining, but there's a lot of stuff around the media and that type of stuff that I didn't particularly enjoy. And that tournament, like, the media was just really through the roof, and I'd still front up and obviously, you know, do those things for the team, and but it was a real insight on, you know, media, making up stories or creating angles on, you know, individuals or the team, and having to deal with that, because we've not that we hadn't had to deal with it before, but it was just on a slightly different level. You know, it's a bit different when you've got the Guardian and Telegraph and people like that kind of saying things about you on a regular basis, rather than, you know, the odd every couple of months. So yeah, it was a different experience. It was once in a lifetime one for me, obviously, to be able to captain our home World Cup. It's the first one that we've had since 1964, so it was huge for us. And yeah, it was a real privilege to be able to kind of front up and lead the team through that. It was really interesting when we obviously lost that semi-final. I was thinking, gosh, I'm going to be the first England captain to lead us to a bronze medal on home, to a 4th place, sorry, you know, which was quite a frightening thought. I thought, no, Serena, you can't allow that. You need to at least medal. This team needs to medal. But it was a great tournament, you know, like, you know, we did get what we deserved at the end of the day. The Kiwis deserved to win it. We didn't quite, we would have liked to have faced the Aussies rather than the Kiwis in the semi-final, but it didn't quite work out that way, and that just was what it was. But, you know, it was a great tournament, and like just to see like the fans and how excited they were, and the girls, they just made such a good account of themselves. I couldn't have been prouder of the effort and the campaign, really. So
Yeah, absolutely. And as someone who comes from a little island like Jersey, like we live on, how could you ever imagine that you would ever become captain? Is that what you kind of set out off from the start, or did it just?
Oh no, mate, no, definitely not. Like, I remember when Tracy asked me if I wanted to captain, and it was before the World Cup. I think I captained a few series before. I think it might have been Uganda. She's like, "Oh, would you captain through this series?" And I genuinely thought she was joking at that time. So when she asked me to be World Cup captain, I was like, "Oh, are you sure I'm the right person for this?" And she obviously was. And I mean, if I wasn't sure that I could do the job, I wouldn't have said yes to it anyway. But yeah, it's definitely not something I thought would be. I wouldn't have naturally seen myself as a leader. I think I've always been a big personality anyway, and also in the group. Very passionate, like to drive people, you know, drive standards. So obviously the coach thought that was something that was valuable from a leadership perspective, and asked me to do that in a more formal way, which is great. I loved it. I had a great team. The best thing about my team is that they could all look after themselves. So as a leader, you weren't necessarily managing people. It was just more about tapping into the strengths of the group, which I thought we did. We were all already doing really well as a team anyway. So in terms of the role, it was just awesome to be able to kind of work with everybody and on that level.
Yeah, definitely. Final kind of question on your playing career before we move on to Jets and coming back. In your own words, how would you describe it, and looking back at it, how would you sum it up?
How would I sum it up? It's a good question. It was a lot of fun. It's definitely not. It's funny because like I dip into. I obviously do a bit of work still for the Roses now. I'm dipping in and out of the staff group doing some things for the girls, and it's funny how you recognize how like it's just not real life. Like it's such a privilege, and like, if I can sum it up, that's probably the word I'd use. It is a genuine privilege to be able to kind of live that life, and for as long as I have, traveling around the world, not living kind of the 9 to 5 grind, and like it's just so special to be able to be an athlete and doing what you love and being good at it. Like it's been really cool. So yeah, I've loved every step of the way journey really, and it was definitely still don't feel like getting back on the court, but yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, good. Moving on now to the start of your coaching career, and obviously you came back to Jersey. Was that always the plan in your head to come back and to get back involved with Jets?
No, definitely not. I was actually looking to get out of netball when I retired. I had a plan. I'm an accredited executive coach, so I love going into organisations, and my bag is around culture, leadership, high performing teams, all that type of stuff. So I love doing delivery around that, so improving performance for organisations. So that was where I was moving into. That was the exit plan. Obviously, I got pregnant in about 6 months too early. I was planning on going to that final Commonwealth Games, and then we were going to move back to Jersey, not to necessarily work in Jets. It was actually Ben Harvey who's developed the Strive facility up in St. Peter's, who initially spoke to me about maybe coming back and doing something for Jersey netball. To which at first I wasn't really that keen on. I wasn't sure what it would look like or anything like that. The JNA have only ever had one employee, so we now have 3. So we've managed to get someone else on board since me coming back. But I was the second one, but also technically really the first in this performance development space, for netball on the island. So and being paid for it, Linda Andrews, she was our netball and like first netball development officer, but most of what she's done for many years has been purely voluntary, and to have someone coming back in a formal role like myself, yeah, it was a big step up. I got given pretty much a clean slate, no remit, no nothing. It was just like come back and work in netball. So I was like, okay, so I've had to really think hard about what this job is and what it needs to be in order to try and grow the game, which has been good fun, but also a challenge, I think, at the time. And then, Jets is really just one part of my role here in Jersey. So I'm pretty busy.
Yeah.
Some of the strategic sides of the job versus the coaching sides, but yeah, I am actually really enjoying it, and I still get to go out and do kind of my coaching and my development side of things with my consultancy work as well. So I feel like I've got, whilst I'm busy, I've got the best of both worlds, in trying to do something to try and grow the game over here in Jersey and get us back into the Premier Leagues. Definitely, it's obviously the ambition over the next 5 years of my contract.
Yeah.
But then also, trying to actually embed the game a bit more into the island is really key for us as well. Not in terms of just investment, but visibility, how people view us on the island, all that type of stuff is really, really important, because we need investment and people to be interested in us in order to survive, like most of the sports on the island.
Yeah, for sure. And What were your feelings when you did come back and when you looked at how netball was on the island? What were your initial feelings and how have you seen that over the last year or so kind of develop?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, like I'm stepping into something that's already really strong. You know, that was really evident. Like I've known that. Like Linda's built such an incredible infrastructure already. In terms of our pathway, our young pathway athletes. We've got a number of athletes before I came in that sit within our athlete development centres across the southwest of England through Team Bar. So, you know, that was already really positive. We're strong in our youth development space as well, and you know, we're in majority of primary schools and some secondary schools as well through Lauren's delivery, our netball development officer. So I knew that we were in a strong position. I think essentially kind of where I saw myself is just trying to elevate what we're already doing and try and formalize some of the structures around our operations actually, and the more business side of things was really important. So we've started making sure that we're covered from insurance purposes and all that kind of more mundane kind of businessy operation side of things. That's kind of where I've come in and tried to tidy a few things up. So yeah, you know, we're in a really strong place in terms of netball on the island. For me, I'd love to tap into, you know, to new markets and open ourselves up to more mixed netball and men's netball and things like that. But we have to get kind of the female side of things right first, and make sure the offerings are right in that space before we kind of branch out. But you know, we've got a great following on the island. I think our double header a few weekends ago was a really good barometer in terms of the appetite of for netball. People coming to watch over that weekend was amazing. So you know, I think what I need to do is just keep thinking bigger and bigger. And yeah, I do believe that the people will come because it's a great product. It's an exciting sport to watch when it's played at a high level. And you know, I think netball's one of those sports where you watch it on TV and think, gosh, that kind of looks kind of cool. But when you're actually in the room, and feel the energy in there, and because it's quite close, it's quite intimate sport. Whereas with football, you're kind of viewing a lot further away. Even in the netball arenas, you're still quite close to the action. It's just a completely different vibe, I think, when you're in there watching it. So yeah, it's my job to kind of just keep building these types of opportunities for one, the girls to play, and two, for people to come watch.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of Jets themselves, how have you enjoyed that experience and coaching and helping the best players on the island?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You know, that was the side of things I wasn't sure how much I would enjoy. It's not like I don't love coaching, but one whilst I've done a lot of it, I've not done lots in terms of just actually heading up one group. I've always stayed more away from that and dipped in and around more specialist roles when it's come to coaching. So yeah, this is quite a new experience for me in that sense. I think like the group and the culture and their willingness and their openness to learn has made it really, really fun for me to kind of come in and you know, mix things up, change things up, put my kind of vision on the group and see how it sits. And like I say, their openness to change and buying into my vision and actually help me drive it has been really amazing. So yeah, it's been a really unexpected kind of, but really, really fun addition to my life. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I wanted to touch upon is interinsulas last year. Obviously, we saw through the age groups at home at Les Ormes, the different players throughout the ages. How important is that to keep, especially the youngsters and newbies coming in, involved and getting started in the sport, and like, as well, why should they start in the sport?
Yeah, well, I think like individually, like in every single sport in the island, whether it's football or hockey or paddle. I know the paddle intrinsics were just last weekend, and you know, I think it's key for that rivalry, right? It's like getting and doing it from under 11s. I know I'm under 11 interinsular, so I played under 11 interinsular, and it kind of is this like island rivalry and this like pride for where you're from, and that's so important when it goes. You know, it's teaching you how to be proud, to be proud from where you're from, and to fight for that in terms of your team colours. And there are so many like life lessons that you learn, I think, through sport, and Pinter Interventionist just provides such a great space for youngsters to learn that. And learn about teamwork and team pride and respect. And, there's just so much going on, but it's within that one particular kind of experience for young kids to come and learn. And then also see how the older guys are doing it as well, and stick around and support as well. So I think it's really important to get the youngsters involved from an early age, whether that's from spectating, playing, umpiring, just being involved in that type of event is really, really great, really critical, I think, to like Jersey identity as well, right? Because it's been going for so many years, the history of it is really quite incredible. So, I think it's really integral to their learning, but also to their development. I think, any young person coming and getting involved in netball, well, like I said, mentioned before, netball's such a unique community. We do really look after our own, and it's very inclusive. You can be whoever you want to be, and that's something that's really important to me as well. That coming into this job, it's about making sure that young people do feel like they can be who they want to be, and also have that sense of belonging and come and enjoy their netball. It's about providing good experiences, and I'm really passionate about that. Not everyone's going to go on and play netball for England, and really that doesn't matter. I didn't think I was going to go and do that, but I just had really good experiences that kept me in the game. That's key, I think, for people working within sport, including myself now, to make sure that we're providing that for youngsters so they stay in the game. We've still got far too much drop off at teenage years for females, and that gap's actually getting bigger. It's not getting smaller. So we've got a long way to go in terms of making sure that our youngsters feel welcome, included, and can access the sport.
Definitely. What two more questions from me today? First one's, what are the big goals for Jersey Netball and Jersey Jets for you, in your opinion, over the next few years?
So for me, it's all very much dependent on the Strive development that's going on up at St. Peter's. We've got big plans up there to put an arena up that can host just over 3,000 people, and obviously get our Netball Community Development Centre up there as well. So that's going to be massive in terms of what I can do within my job, within my remit. We still need a home for netball. That's something that we're still pushing for. And we're still hoping to have a place by 2026. So that is still within the plans, and also one of the reasons why I've come back to help push for that. What I would love in terms of the ultimate vision is to get an arena set up and then put a tender in for a Super League team and make netball professional over here, and have a professional franchise over here. That would be one, huge for the island. Two, it's got to, economically, it would bring in people to come, who would want to come and watch and things like that. And it just means, again, in terms of what I can do in terms of my marketing, building a fan base, it just changes the game. So for us, facilities are the key. That's something that we've been waiting for a long time now. So that's high on the agenda over the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. One last question I want to finish on is, for sports people, stars, or whatever you want to call them here in Jersey, what are your kind of top bits of advice if they do want to turn pro in sport?
Well, the first thing is just not to walk before you can run. I think everybody thinks they need to be in these certain setups to turn pro, even in football, and you don't. It's not necessary to your success. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of sport and professional sport. Whereas ideally, you need to be in a really good headspace for it first, and you need to just go out and keep enjoying your sport and work on your basics. And I think youngsters, they forget that. They just want to get straight to the top of the mountain, and professional sport doesn't work like that. You probably got like one or two percenters, like your Messis or your Ronaldos, who come out once every 10 years, who can go on and they just have everything, and that's just who they are. But everybody goes out in the world and then just starts comparing themselves to them, and the truth is that you're just not there, and that's okay, but you can still get there. So sticking to process and being patient with it, and working your way through the ranks counts for something. That's where you build resilience. That's where you learn who you are as a player, and you have the time to generate your own mindset and your own identity, you know, and that's really important, I think, as an athlete. Or else you get up to the pro leagues and you end up very unhappy, very, you know, and you're not a good teammate to people. You know, a lot of people ask me about like kind of what's my biggest achievement, and everyone knows, like, always talks about the gold medal, and the gold medal was great, and don't get me wrong, it was a brilliant week, brilliant campaign, obviously brilliant weekend, winning both those games by one. But I don't actually really ever talk about the gold medal. I talk about how we were as a team and how we treated each other, and like the journey of the actual of the games. And it's so easy to get caught up in the shiny stuff at the end, where like it took me 12 years to get that one gold medal. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's the last chunk of your life. If that's what you're focusing on, I just think you're going to become very unhappy very quickly in whatever you do in life, not just sports. So I like to tell youngsters just to enjoy, stay in the moment, be present in what you're doing, and it's a privilege. So, you know, appreciate it, because the next day it could be gone. One injury, it's gone. Sickness, it's gone. Changing circumstances, it's gone. You know, we just see what's happened to the Reds. In one picture, one change in circumstance, bosh, it's just all gone. So you have to appreciate the journey that you're on and value the people around you, because that's actually more valuable than the shiny stuff, which you might not get anyway.
Yeah. Amazing advice. Amazing advice. Serena, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on today.
No worries.
I've loved it. We've covered a lot, and yeah, thank you.
All right, mate. Pleasure.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That was another episode of Sportscast Jersey. Thank you for watching or listening. Another episode is coming soon.